Thanks for tuning in to the Urban Scope podcast. I'm back with more hip hop news, just addressing this whole Drake media, hip hop media issue that's been going around. And Drake addressed this controversy recently on the Bobby Altoff podcast. But I don't think he was forthcoming about this issue. I think he circumvented a lot of things, and I'll get into those here. Um, because he said that people were basically entitled to an interview with him. He felt that that he wasn't entitled to give anybody an interview, which is probably true. But I think that he wasn't forthcoming about why he said these things. I believe there's several reasons Drake doesn't talk to hip hop media and black media in general for these specific reasons. Why you won't see him with a Casanat or Black Boy Max or and you only see him with like a Aiden Ross or a Bobby Alta. And one of the biggest reasons, well, the biggest reason I believe Drake doesn't talk to hip hop and black media is because he believes he's above it and bigger than the platforms that they have. So he has this complex that he thinks he's better than people just because he has the better numbers. But artistry wise, there are a lot of artists better than him, but unfortunately, they don't sell to his degree. Now, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, I even throw Lupe in there. Common, all of these artists to me are better artists. Now he's a better pop artist. Now he brings more appeal. He brings more fans and he brings more diverse backgrounds because he's talking about different things to appease the masses. But we know that his rapping is not better than most of these people, and it's said that he doesn't write some of his music. So in hip hop, it's frowned upon when you don't write your own music because you're supposed to be telling your story. How can you let somebody else tell it? Now that's different from somebody writing a book because you might not have the grammar knowledge, you might not have the English background. So that's something that's totally different. On the other hand, Drake is, somebody else is telling this story, and most of these things he's never done. I remember one of his famous lines was, "Told my girl to order in because I need the kitchen." We know Drake is not cooking up product. We know that Drake is somebody else wrote that. So a lot of things that Drake used to do, we're catching on to now because of just his missteps lately. And his ego is what is getting in the way because that Kendrick Lamar beef and even the Pusha T beef showed us that his ego was past what it needed to be, and it was flawed. It's one of his flawed traits. His foolish ego, not to know when to get out when you're supposed to get out. And that has, you know, humanized him because he was this bigger than life artist, pretty much like the Michael Jackson of hip hop of our time. But it- they showed the chinks in his armor, and he was showed, uh, and he was, exposed in that way. But I think that's one of the biggest issues in hip hop is our people not being able to speak to our people, not showing up to our award shows like the BET Awards and things like that, Soul Train Awards, which is not, it's been defunct now. So it's a lot, not a lot of support for people that look like us, and we're going to MTV and the Grammys and things like that, but we're not showing up to things that we've created and things that are for us that people that actually care about us go to. Um, so I think that's one of the biggest reasons why Drake won't talk to black media. Now, the second reason I believe Drake doesn't talk to black media is because they will ask him the tough questions. You won't get tough questions from an Aiden Ross or Bobby Altoff because for the simple fact of they're not really listening to his music to dissect it. They're listening to his music for the entertainment factor. They're listening to his music for the shock value, for the vibe, so to speak. Now, these hip hop outlets like a Joe Budden, like a Charlemagne the God, like a Casanat, these artists are going to be listening to the lyrics and to the controversies around those lyrics, such as the Kendrick Lamar beef. They're going to ask him the tough questions about that and why didn't he get out of that beef, or why did he even enter the beef? Um, like, what did he think about after losing to the beef? Things like that. Pause. Um, they're gonna ask him these tough questions, and he's gonna have to answer these questions, or he's gonna pre-screen these questions to where they can't ask him. That's why you'll never see him on these outlets for that big question. I mean, for that big reason. Um, even a Ray Daniels, somebody like that, they're gonna ask him these questions that we as the fans or the listeners are gonna be thinking. And he doesn't want to have to answer those, or probably he would never get on those platforms anyway, because he's going to control all of the interview to the questions what you're going to ask. And these people are so established in the media, they don't have to take his interview, and he knows that. So he's never going to reach out to these guys for an interview. He's going to go to the safe route, a Bobby Altoff, Aiden Ross. He might even go to a Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan's not going to ask this stuff either. So I can see him doing that. But that's one of the biggest reasons why he won't do it. And then the last reason he won't talk to hip hop media, because Drake is not hip hop. I know people say, "Oh, he's hip hop. He makes hip hop music." I think he has elements of hip hop. I think he has interpolations of hip hop. I think he has segments of hip hop. I think he has pieces or imagery of hip hop, but it's cosplay at the end of the day. Drake is not hip hop. This lawsuit showed that. The beef with Kendrick Lamar and the way he's responding to that shows us that. The way he doesn't show up for the things that mean the most to him shows us that. The way he doesn't respect hip hop and the way he doesn't show up for hip hop shows that he's not hip hop. Hip hop is more about making hits, or hip hop is more than just being able to, to be a superstar. It's about what did you do for your own people? Who have you influenced other than yourself? Just because you've made features and, did features for people at no price, that doesn't necessarily make you hip hop. What have you done for the people that you care about? The makeup that made you a man? They always say what makes you a man is not what you say yes to, but what you say no to. What have you said no to lately, other than uh, just the naysayers that say that you lost the beef against Kendrick? So no, I don't think Drake is hip hop. I think Drake is pop, and I think that Drake has been cosplaying as a hip hop artist this whole time, because he's not from those streets. He's not from uh, where hip hop evolved from. He's not hip hop. Now, if you want to say he has shades of hip hop, or he's a part of hip hop, yeah, but I don't think he's hip hop. Now, there's true MCs, and then there's people who cosplay as MCs, and I think Drake is cosplaying as an MC. He never was real and authentic in that way, and we're starting to see the true Drake that we always knew that he was, pandering to different genres and to different demos, just to make a quick sale, a quick buck. But he never quite cared about hip hop, because he never was hip hop. So tell me what you think your thoughts are about why does Drake doesn't do hip hop media. Until next time, I'll see you next time.